Hey everybody, welcome back to Take on the Lake with Lake Expo. I'm Nathan Bechtold, your host, and today on the show we've got the one, the only, the inimitable. Look that one up.
Ooh,
Yeah.
damn.
Jeff Pfitzer.
Wow.
Thanks for coming on the show, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome to Take on the Lake. I've got a story for you.
Having me.
Circa, what? I don't know, 2020 something.
That's a good question.
I actually don't remember
That's
what we first
via Zach and Katie at one of their houses.
Yeah, that's right, with Grand Welcome. That's right. Yep, and you had me on your TikTok channel.
Yep.
And we chatted about,
Yep.
I think, Exto at that point. Or
No,
something.
that was Lake Expo
Was it?
first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then
Yep.
we did Expo.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And yeah, that's where we hung out at a vacation rental
Yeah.
from Grand Welcome, and you interviewed me there,
Yeah.
and we've gotten to know each other over time. And
Yeah.
Jeff runs Lake of the Ozarks Lifestyle, which is on various social platforms that we should enumerate now.
Yes.
Go.
Started with TikTok.
Right.
And then it expanded to Instagram, Facebook, actually Twitter, but we don't do much with that anymore. And then, of course, YouTube.
Right, of course.
Yes.
And you started by just creating content. I know a little bit of your backstory because we've talked about it some, but you can lay some of that out. You just started creating content and realized that Lake of the Ozarks content really went well. People must like this place.
Purely accidental. Yeah. So I've been a second homeowner since 2012. Background is in mortgage and real estate. And I grew our mortgage business back then. I've since retired from it and grew it as a result of social. And so I was always trying to practice what I preached. And I was preaching back then, be more authentic, share more of your life, share more of what you do behind the scenes. And that was a part of my life. And so I was sharing that behind the scenes. And periodically over a number of years, I was sharing just random stuff, like a cockpit boat would fly by and I'm down on the Big Mangle, which was very rare. I would share something like that. That was the video that really set it off for me. And I just continued, over about a year, 2 years, noticed everything Lake of the Ozarks typically would pop off. Nothing else did. And eventually, it was about 2.5 years ago, I think, it was pre-shootout, and I noticed some content that I wouldn't have otherwise expected to go viral went viral. Literally just talking about the shootout. And I remember going to one of my business partners at the time, and I said, verbatim, kick me in the what's if I ever post anything on TikTok that's not Lake of the Ozarks ever again. I gotta go all in on this and see what happens. And so my goal was, I said, I'm gonna spend 1 year consistently trying to post every day, and I'm gonna see what happens. And again, at the time I was in the mortgage business. Literally about 30 days later, after doing this, I got a real estate lead almost immediately,
Nice.
which shocked me, actually. And that was all I needed. I was like, okay, this works. It's just since evolved into things that I never would have imagined.
Yeah, you created content, you grew an audience around the content, and then people wanted access to that audience.
Yeah.
What a formula. I like it. I'm a big fan.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You know it well.
Yeah, no, but it's great, and it works. It's obviously worked, and so it's pretty cool. So now your business is Pfitzer Media.
Yeah.
And maybe give an elevator pitch or a little bit
Sure.
high level of what are you doing?
Yeah, so ironically, as a result of all of this, so what happened when I was doing this, and what changed for me was my target avatar in the mortgage business was real estate agents, and so that was our customer, and so it's always challenging in that industry to get a real estate agent's attention and hold their attention because we're a dime a dozen, right? And there's a lot of lenders constantly going after real estate agents, and so what I realized shortly after starting to do social was that my phone started to ring. It was in reverse. And so it was that theory that I was attracting my customer versus having to chase them. And so it was just something that I realized and I ran with it. And then again, it fast forwarded into the Lake of the Ozarks stuff. Then the demand started for me, and the shift from that industry was that same real estate agent would say, can you help me with? Then it was, can you edit a video with me? Can we do a video together? Then it went to, can I just pay you to do this for me? And it was at that moment where I was like, I think I got something here. And I had never dreamt of this, never thought about this. And then all of a sudden, here we are. That has now since evolved into the same thing at the lake. I started to have local businesses who followed me and reached out and said, can you help me with my social? And now here we are today, again, fast forward to today in 2025. And I now live here full time. And if you had asked me the day we met, do you anticipate you'll be doing this full time living at the Lake of the Ozarks? I would have said, whatever it is you're smoking, Nate, please give me some of that.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah. No, I remember us talking about it, and you were just making content and seeing what would happen.
Yeah, that was it. That was it. Yeah.
So interesting. Background in mortgage. Do you have a background before mortgage? What's the background on Jeff Pfitzer?
Funny
Story.
Yeah.
Let's zoom way out.
Sure. From St. Louis, originally from actually Minnesota, but lived in St. Louis most of my life. And I had a background in sports, actually. We had a connection to a family who was the president, who had the president of the St. Louis Cardinals. And so I was able to get a cool job. I started as an usher, ended up becoming a runner, which is basically somebody who runs media notes. As a result of running media notes, I got to know all the people in the front office, including the Fredbird at the time.
Nice.
And
I didn't know this part of your story. This is cool.
You're gonna learn something. I was actually sitting in the break room one day because as a runner, you could literally just sat there and watch baseball games, wait to get called to go run player notes, run media notes, whatever. Fredbird would always come in and rest in between his outings, and his name was Tony Simakaitis. He came in and sat down one day, and I was like, Tony, what would it take to get in that suit? He goes, are you serious? I'm like, hell yeah, that'd be awesome. He goes, job's yours. And there was more than one Fredbird, but I think he was looking to get out of the suit. And so I became Fredbird for 2 seasons.
No, you did not, dude.
Yeah. When I tell that to people, now that it's progressed into the social media thing, they're like, oh, this all makes sense now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was Fredbird, and I was in the Cardinals organization while I was in college. I actually had to quit that job because I couldn't travel and do the off-season events as Fredbird, and so because I was in college. And it was my senior year of college that same connection got me a job with the Blues, the hockey team in St. Louis, and a full-time job before I graduated college. So I took it, and so I worked for the Blues organization for a couple of years, and then, dude, I got found by Monster.com. Remember Monster?
Oh yeah, Monster.
Resume one of the original. Yeah, correct. I realized that a career in sports, although fun, although it had its perks, you can only work your way up the ladder by just putting time in. There's nothing you can do to outwork, to shine, whatever. It's a tenure thing. And so I had my resume out there. A mortgage company found me. I didn't even know what the word equity meant at that time. I had to literally look it up. And they found me. They offered me a salary that was more than I was making for the Blues, plus commission. It was like, okay, I guess I'll go sell mortgages. And this was back in 2000. Before the crash, and that's how I got into the mortgage industry.
Okay.
Yeah.
And never did you guess throughout all that you'd have a TikTok channel one day because you didn't know there was no such thing.
Yeah, honestly, we didn't even take social media serious in our business until probably 2015-ish, which really wasn't much before that. Facebook was a thing, but it was what it was. It was staying in touch with people. And then Instagram came around, but nobody really used it for business. And then all of a sudden it was a result of, I started to do videos. I was connected to some people. I was watching some people. I was actually watching a videographer who was doing green screen before green screen was mainstream, before all the technology made it easy. And I was fascinated. He entertained the hell out of me. And I got introduced to him, and I was like, Justin, that was his name. He's based out of Chicago. I was like, can you help me? I want to try to make green screen stuff for the mortgage industry. And of course, he was all about it. And it just I ended up, because I embraced video before most in any industry embraced it, I ended up getting found by people on a national level in that space, in the real estate space, and got invited to some masterminds on the West Coast. And I just ended up getting to rub shoulders with some really big names, which then helped me catapult our mortgage business. And we really grew as a result of that. And I had 2 partners. And I always tell people, I said, we grew from we were a successful mortgage branch of a company. So we were kind of like a franchise, basically. And we grew to we were stagnant at about 135 million in volume, which is good. It's not bad. It's not the highest, but very solid. We plateaued. We couldn't grow. And then when I started doing social stuff, over the next couple of years, we ballooned to over 550 million.
Wow.
And if you asked my partners, who were 2 of my one of them was one of my biggest haters. Not hater, but he would tease me for the social stuff. Yeah. But if you asked him and said, how did you guys grow from 100 million to 500 million? They'd say, because of Pfitzer's social presence. Wow. And so it was just from there, everything was born. And it was like, wow, this really does work. You just got to understand how to make it work.
Yeah.
And so I've just become a student of the game ever since. And then when the downturn happened after COVID, The revenue that I was starting to gain from the media business was matching my mortgage revenue, which was way down. And I just thought, this is my opportunity to make a break and retire from something I didn't have a passion for anyway.
Right. And so you call it a game, and I think it is a game.
Yeah.
Like, the more I learn about it, I've been on Facebook. I remember I was in college when Facebook came out, and so I was like a true early adopter because it came out to
That's what it
college.
was
You had to
for.
have a college email address first to get on.
Yeah.
So I think 05.
Is that what it was?
05, 06, somewhere around there. I remember
Because MySpace was still
I had a Zanga blog. You ever have a Zanga? Xanga.
No.
And that was like pre-Facebook for our college friends, and you would just daily write like a paragraph or something, and you could throw comments or some love on there, all this stuff.
That's cool.
That was pre-Facebook. And then I remember everybody's Zangas kind of tapered at the college I was at because Facebook arrived. And that's how you updated your status and the stuff that happened. So I was there not on the ground floor, but like really early. I remember that, and watching how you yourself interact with it over the years, and then watching how businesses came into play. Businesses always want in on everything. Businesses are the late adopters, right? Like same with TikTok. When TikTok came out, it was for the kids, not just the kids.
The teenage
but,
girls is the joke.
Yeah, dancing and stuff.
Yeah.
And then businesses were like, there's an audience here.
Yes.
So what about making some money? And then that's the way it always. So with Facebook, I remember that happening, and pages, and then the iterations of how all that worked and stuff. And honestly, Facebook has been around longer than I thought it was going to. I actually thought that all the censorship, like 2020, 2021, 2022, when people were getting censored and blacklisted and kicked off
Zuckerberg was
and deranked and all this. Yeah, I thought that was going to kill Facebook.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, I was a little excited about it.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll have more free time.
A
lot of people will.
Like a lot of people.
I feel like it has had a resurgence, if anything, since then. I don't exactly know why, but it didn't kill it. And so all of that to say, you referred to it as a game, and I think that it's helpful to see it that way, because that's like a pragmatic, practical way of looking at social. Whereas so often, I think you've talked about this before, being uncritical consumer of social, when as a business person, you should be approaching it a lot more intentionally and thoughtfully, and know the rules of the game and play the game well. And then you might not always win, but you have a way better chance of winning if you know the rules of the game, right? So maybe give us just for a sec, like, what are some of the rules of the game that people don't think about well or don't do well? Where are places where people, business owners, whatever, just like consistently miss it on social?
That's a great question. And the simple answer, the first mistake, the biggest mistake that most people make is they look at social as another medium by which to market or advertise and get their message out. And that's not why social was created. And so I think where everybody went wrong was you had these, again, businesses, and I usually use the real estate industry as a great example because they're very early adopters of most everything because it's just such a diluted industry. You become familiar with that. And so when you think about traditional forms of marketing, when it was TV, it was radio, it's postcards, billboards, grocery store carts, and bus stop benches. And when you think about all that stuff, that was designed for advertising purposes.
Right.
Social not. And that's never changed. But because you had somebody who said, ooh, audience, opportunity, I'm going to market. And so, good idea. But the execution has been very poor for most. And that is that, and I'll use the real estate industry as a great example, they have diluted social with like self-serving content. Look, I have another house. Look, I sold another house. Look, I have an open house. Look at my award I won. And I, again, use that industry to say it also has ruined the reputation of the industry. That consumer who rolls over in bed in the morning or sits down at the breakfast table or sits on the couch and gets on their phone and opens Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, they're there for mindless entertainment, puppy dog, cooking, laughing, nonsense. And when you constantly are just cramming your self-serving sale down their throat, it works in the opposite.
Yeah, all the platforms know when people scroll past something.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, and I mean, that scrolling past it without stopping is like the death sentence.
Correct.
And so when you make the kind of content that is just, nobody wants that.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to see that.
Yes.
Nobody cares about that.
Yes.
Then what you're saying is, I don't want anybody to see this.
Yes, yes,
So yeah.
yes. Yeah, so when I talk about it as a game, the game is attention. The whole reason you're there is attention. The misconception or the misuse of it is that we think, and somebody who's a novice and doesn't really truly understand social, they think posting equals I'm going to get attention, and they're very wrong about that. Most people, especially businesses, when they post, you're literally posting to a virtual graveyard. You think because you have 5,000 friends or followers, they're going to see it. Wrong. Maybe 10% might show up on their feed, and the majority of that 10% is scrolling past it. And so you have to play the game, and what I mean by that is the game is get their attention with something that interests them. So you teach the algorithm to think, okay, Nate stopped. He watched Jeff's video. He liked it. He even commented it. He must like Jeff's content.
Right.
Therefore, when Jeff tries to sell something, I don't care what it is, the algorithm that says, I'm going to put it in front of Nate because he's clearly interested.
Yeah, when you put it that way, it's, that's just the rules of the game.
That's the rules of the
game.
game.
The rules of the game are the algorithm has certain things that it's looking for people that are interacting, that are scrolling
Bingo.
to do.
Bingo.
And if you do those things, then that piece of content
Yes.
rises in value in news feeds. And if you don't, then it's not going to. So then you've taught people to apply that kind of the other way around too, and go, hey, if there's people that you want to see you more on social, then you go and play the rules. Like you go and comment, not just comment on their content, right? The thing about some of the game, and I think there's a way through this, but when you think of it, which this is very pragmatic and I appreciate it, as the game and the rules of the game, it all can start to feel very inauthentic, potentially, too. And of course, as we know, like the idea behind social media is that people want to have authentic feeling experiences. I'll say authentic feeling. I don't know if they're authentic experiences completely, if they're digital. Yeah, authentic feeling. They want to feel like they learned a little something actually about you. Not just a thing that you curated that's going to make them think that they like people actually. I think that's really what's behind social media is you want to have experiences that feel authentic with other people. So then learning to play the game by the rules I think involves recognizing that piece too, and being willing to be authentic on some level. And that's scary for people who don't like being public with themselves. And understandably, it stretches you a little bit. But I think what I've learned, partly from you and just growing in social, is that if you're not willing to just be who you are there, and who you are is definitely going to alienate people. Like, your audience is not everyone.
Correct.
And so
big mistake. That's a big mistake people make.
Yeah.
They think they can be everything to everyone, but you're not, and you never will.
You wouldn't want to be anyways.
No.
And so I think that's a piece of it too. I'm just saying all that and agreeing with you that that's even another, I think a little more complicated rule of the game is to not just always be trying to think of something that's going to get clicks, but I think that there's an element of being really you in those spaces that I think brings that kind of connection and engagement that, like you said, people go, oh, I like that person. I'm like that too.
I can relate. That's it. It's an escape. You've heard me say this before. For most people, social media is an escape from reality. Escape from reality is either that they're looking for entertainment, they might be looking for education, they might be looking for relatability. To put that in a different context, they're looking for, because somebody, the average human, goes to work, hates their job, in many cases doesn't really care for their spouse that much or their family most days. They're pissed off at their kids. They sit down on the couch to escape that. But then a lot of them find themselves watching content that's relatable because it makes them feel less of a failure, or like they look at it and say, oh God, thank God I'm not the only one. And so they end up watching stuff that is your reality but makes them feel like, oh, there's somebody else out there. And then it just makes you more connected to them, and then they find themselves stalking your content more often, and you now just got a raving fan who whatever you sell, they're gonna buy.
You're such a cynic. Everybody hates their job, their wife, and their kids.
Okay, not everyone. Okay, sorry.
I was gonna color that a little bit because it's definitely true of some people.
I would venture to say, though, most Americans, we work because we have to, not because they enjoy what they do. And I probably 90+% of Americans probably are that way. I was that way.
The gal that I handed my credit card to in the fast food line just a little bit ago, I thought that very thing. I was like, This is not, she's not like loving
No.
this gig right now. I'm proud of her. Actually, she's actually like out there
Yeah.
naked, like
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It's not like, oh, this is what I always wanted from life was to punch numbers on a screen. But that could get us into the
Most
which
people,
jobs
most
robots
people
take
are
first
working to
question.
live.
Yeah. And so your point of an escape, that's always been true. And I don't think that social media is the only place for that either. Really,
Well,
that taps into
it used to be television.
TV and
Yeah.
books.
Also,
books.
Yeah. That's a lost
Oh,
art.
those are crazy
It's a lost
idea.
art. Yeah. Yeah.
But people have always wanted an escape.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's always bad. I think it actually can be bad. There are people who confuse the escape with the real world, or if you're so motivated to escape that you're not willing to fix your life, stop trying to escape and go fix your life. So that's another thing.
Yeah.
We always gonna get philosophical.
Yeah,
on this,
I
on the
like
show.
it. I like it.
But there's a level. So I love Tolkien, Lord of the Rings, Tolkien. And he talks about this a lot, about the human desire to escape into a story, to escape into a narrative. And that there's actually can be something good there because it gives us a place to have a mental freedom into an escape. And then it's good and necessary for you to come out of the escape and go back into real world and live your life.
Yeah.
So all of this to say that social media is a place where you escape. And I actually think that some of the things that social media, when done well, does is brings people into stories.
Yes.
And this is where I like to go a lot. Facebook and Instagram actually have a thing called stories.
They all do now.
Oh yeah, yeah. And again, those are maybe a cheap substitute for a rich story, but they're tapping into that same idea that we want to connect with people's stories.
Correct.
We want to understand,
Correct.
like, life has a narrative arc, right?
Yep.
And we have like characters and settings and a conflict and a problem and the climax of the action, and then everything gets resolved and it's great.
Yeah.
Like, we experience life in stories. And so I think some of the most engaging content sometimes is that kind of draws you into a story.
Yeah.
There you go. That's the writer, Nate,
Yeah.
going out and just projecting onto Jeff's.
That's very eloquent, because I was going to describe it as the stories room of the social platforms, different from the feed, is I describe it as a backstage pass to someone's life.
Yeah.
That's basically what people want. When they get into your stories, they actually do want to see in your story what you ate for breakfast. They don't necessarily want that as a post on your feed, but they are curious just to scroll through to see, because it's only there for 24 hours. You can't annoy people with it. And so that is what the design of stories is.
Yeah, okay. So help differentiate that for just a sec. I struggle with this, actually. I struggle with like the right amount of time to even spend posting on social. That's a whole nother conversation. But what goes on a story? What's the best kind of stuff to put in a story versus the best kind of stuff to put in a post?
Yeah.
Maybe this is a really lame, like I should have known the answer to this a
it's
decade
okay.
ago.
No,
I feel like maybe there's a
most people
few
don't.
people that
Most people don't.
that could think about that with me.
Yeah, so the way I describe it is let's use Facebook and Instagram as the perfect example, because that's where most people are, right? There's effectively, I describe it as 3 rooms. There's 3 rooms that you can enter when you get into the platform. When you enter the platform, it immediately puts you onto the feed, the main feed, which encompasses 2 rooms, a general post and a reel. A general post could be a graphic, it could be a carousel, which is multiple graphics, it could be a video.
Right.
Reels are just videos.
Right.
Reels cover the Reels feed and the main feed. And then the third room is stories. And stories are just, again, it's literally the most crude way I can say it, vomit your life.
Yeah. Right.
Vomit your life in your stories. When you post a reel, share your reel to the story. But the answer is anything and everything can go in your stories. But you want to save the feed content for the best stuff.
Okay. So post, I don't really want to see everybody's bowl of Cheerios, but that kind of stuff, post that to the story.
Correct.
But save like really good content for your feed.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. That's a good answer for that.
Yep.
A couple other things.
Let me give you another example on that,
okay.
by the way. So, as Lake Expo, but you're obviously aggregating content around what's going on at the lake. Some of it's events, some of it's just cool stories. That you would share a picture of us right here in your story.
Yeah.
This is what I did today. This is the article that I'm writing today. And it's just a quick snip, it's a tease, this is what's happening. I stopped in at XYZ restaurant today for lunch. Take a picture of my meal, whatever. That's all story content. The feed content would be the actual story.
Right. In this case, the podcast episode or the thing itself.
Yes.
The story is a good preview place, maybe.
Yeah. That's a good example.
We'll taste.
Yeah.
Okay. A couple other things. questions I jotted out that I'd be curious. What have you learned about social media, and you're doing Pfitzer Media over the last time here?
Yeah.
What have you learned that has surprised you about social media? Something that you had to either unlearn or that, just surprised you about the way it works or something like that?
A couple answers to that. One, how quickly it's evolving, which I also think makes it incredibly intimidating. It's because it's moving so fast, and again, you basically you either have to become a student of the game or hitch your wagon to somebody who's a student of the game so you can stay hip to what's happening. Because by the time most people embrace things like TikTok, you missed an opportunity that there's still opportunity, but you missed a golden opportunity. To be an early adopter of anything is opportunity.
Right.
And most people drag their feet, oh, this is stupid. And so the best advice I can give is either become a student of that game, like actually understand the psychology and the science to the game that we call it, or hitch your wagon to somebody that is. That's why I'm in business. Right. Hitch your wagon to me. And by hitch your wagon doesn't mean you have to write me a check. Just stay in touch. Follow what I'm doing because I do it as a practitioner, basically, which turns into some business for me. But believe me, dude, I got a lot of friends and business owners who never paid me a dime and gain a lot of nuggets from me. And there's others, like Gary Vee. He's the OG. He's the godfather. That's a great guy to follow, Gary Vaynerchuk. He's always putting out good content about social media because if there was a founder of social media, which he's not, but a founder of the person who executed it at the highest level and figured it out quickest, it's Gary Vee.
Yeah.
That, and the other answer that I would give to that is I'm continually blown away by how ignorant, and I mean that in not a mean way, but the ignorance around social media still maintains today, which means there's still an incredible amount of opportunity to capture market share because most businesses do not get it. Most business operators, owners of businesses, managers, leaders are, for lack of a better term, have an old school mindset and they just haven't grasped it yet. And the ones who will create the most separation in any line of work will be the one who embraces to create differentiation. We have a monkey see, monkey do mentality, and you gotta be willing to take a chance and step outside and do something different.
The funny thing is a lot of those people scroll social media regularly, but they don't think about how to leverage it. And again, I think to your point, because of the way it changes, and because, again, there's something about putting yourself out there publicly that is understandably not always comfortable for a lot of people, that it's intimidating. And so that's a problem actually for those people. It's you can actually have a business and not be on social media. That's theoretically possible, right? You could do that. But generally speaking, you need to be able to have some kind of social media presence. And so you need to, and then if you're going to be on it, you should be doing it well. But doing it well can mean a range of things, and it can also mean bringing somebody in to help you do it well. And so that's okay.
Exactly. And you don't have to put your life out there. Gary Vee is the perfect example of someone who says it publicly, I will not put my kids on social media. To each their own, but he's the greatest example of somebody who says, I don't need to do that. But then you need to find a niche. So maybe your niche is entertaining. Maybe you're funny. So to get creative and create some funny content, maybe you have an incredible knowledge about a very specific niche. Then educate. Find a niche. And then you don't have to put out what you're eating for breakfast and that your kid did something cute or whatever because you're a private person. That's okay.
So you are an expert at something, right? You've talked about this with plumbers and stuff. Where you're like, my gosh, man, just get yourself a little tripod. You did a video recently demoing different tripods, and set it up before you do. And you're like, hey, it's Bob down here at plumbing, and I just run into this all the time, and so I'm just gonna show you how to do this.
Bingo.
And you are an expert. Like 99% of people that are your friends and whatever do not know about how to fix that thing. And you just established yourself as an expert there. And that was a win. I mean, that video might not get you business. It might actually. But it was a win because you're saying, you didn't have to go around and introduce your children to them or show your address or create things where you don't want to put that life on display. You don't have to. But you can establish yourself as somebody who's an expert in your field in ways, again, that feel engaging, interesting. It's interesting to see people fix stuff, actually. So I've learned that from you.
To your point, too, that same plumber might say to me, why would I want to teach them how to do something that would replace me? The reality is 99% of consumers will never, and I'm one of them.
They're not going to do
I will watch you teach me how to do it, and then when I need it done, and I quickly lose patience, guess who I'm going to think of to call?
Yep.
The person that taught me how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the name of the game.
Absolutely.
And I think that's another misconception that people have is I don't want to give them my secrets. There is no secrets anymore.
No.
There is something on the internet that teaches everything now.
Frankly, especially with AI now,
Even
I mean,
more.
there are no secrets
None.
about how to do the things.
None.
It
Yes.
you will have an answer. So yeah, you might as well be the person that gives it in an engaging way
Bingo.
and establishes yourself as somebody who knows this stuff. And if you need something that you can't do yourself,
Yeah.
give me a holler.
And you know what you could do? You could literally, as that plumber or any other business, you say you're struggling to come up with a content strategy, you could go to all of your past customers and reach out to them, which is, by the way, a great exercise because it gives you an excuse to reach out to your past customers and say, we're growing a social media channel. So I had a question for you. I wanted to know what would be one of the biggest frequently asked questions that you would have for me that you would love for me to teach you through my social media channel.
Yeah.
Then guess what you're doing? Not only are you touching these people, reminding them, then guess who's going to follow you? That person that you called. Then you're getting this entire library of ideas from the people that want to watch your content because we always conceive the ideas based upon what we want. So I'm going to create plumbing content that's going to feed me. Wrong. It doesn't work that way. You've got to understand how to bring value to a consumer. And the consumer meaning the audience, the person on the other end of the phone. And that's
good.
Yeah.
Okay,
I hope
so
there's a plumber listening. They just got some nuggets,
that's
man.
the plumber or the metaphorical plumber.
Correct,
You know,
correct,
that applies. Okay. I think just one more.
Yep.
I think I'm going to ask this question in like most of my interviews now that have any even remote relation to this, but AI. What's it changing and how do you yourself use it? And that's open-ended. So what are you seeing? Because it is one of the most interesting topics to me right now because it is so crazy. I listened to an interview with the Google CEO just last week. They announced some major new things like AI mode for search on Google now and all these things. And I'm like, I don't even think that the CEO of Google understands what AI is doing. In fact, the way he talks about it, they know what they're doing, but the way that it's getting implemented across the globe at lightning speed, it's changing all the time. I don't think anybody can actually say they're an expert in AI. I mean, they might be like today, and then tomorrow you're not anymore.
You know who's going to be the expert? AI itself. It is.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
So the answer to that question is, and again, this is changing incredibly fast. This conversation will be completely different 6 months from now.
Yeah,
that's the crazy and scary part.
That's okay. Yeah. I'm curious. Like, what are you seeing? I don't know. What are you noticing, or how do you use it? Use ChatGPT, I'm sure, and stuff. Like, what other things do you do?
Great question, because there's a lot of AI platforms, especially for the real estate industry, who is one of the industries I work most with. And there's so many things. You can create presentations, you can create photos, you can create images, you can create graphics, and you can do all this stuff. And you can create captions, you can create listing presentations, and it becomes very overwhelming. And so the simple answer is use the most simplistic form of AI to make yourself more efficient. And that is ChatGPT or one of the ChatGPT lookalikes. There's a bunch of them. I don't have skin in the game with any of them, but I use it all the time. And I consider myself pretty creative. I consider myself pretty eloquent. Not less than you. You've got me beat.
Oh, thanks.
But comparative to the average human being, I consider myself actually a pretty good writer.
Yeah.
And I like writing captions. I like writing scripts. Mm-hmm. I am letting AI help me do it faster because sometimes you just have writer's block. I have a brain that just slows down and I'm like, here's my idea, and then it leads me in a direction, and then I take that and I make it my own. I think the biggest two big mistakes. One, the lack of embracing of AI is going to be the death of you and your business. I don't think AI is on the precipice of replacing us as humans, but the human that embraces AI will replace the human that isn't using AI. 100%. And I think in the next 5 to 10 years, AI is going to be replacing a lot of humans. I do believe
their
that.
jobs.
Correct.
Yeah.
Who knows? I don't even know. I'm scared. I'm scared about that one.
Right. Me too.
But so I think that is the short answer to that. But I think in general, like, you need to understand how you can use it in your business and grab on. And I think ChatGPT or Claude or the Google version, use the hell out of it, because I can promise you, dude, I can tell you, most of my clients, they think, some of my clients, and I say it publicly all the time, they think I'm the most brilliant creative person on the entire planet. And I can just, hey, Jeff, I can give Jeff an idea, and it's, no, I just use AI more than you do.
Yeah.
I guess I am more than you are. My brain does work that way differently, but I use it out of And you could too.
Right.
And it's so few people are. And so just simply embrace it and use it and figure out how you can use it in your daily life. It is Google.
Yes.
Start using it like Google.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what that means. When I say
hardly Google stuff anymore.
Exactly.
I do for certain things. If I'm looking up a business or certain other things, I'm Googling. If I want to find the website of this company or something like that, then I'm going through Google.
Yeah.
If I want an answer to a question, I'm not Googling that anymore.
Yeah. Although Google's response, the top responses, are not all AI driven.
Right. Yeah.
So it's basically the same.
I just like that Chat remembers the conversation, and so then
you can have a conversation with ChatGPT. You can't really have a conversation with Google.
Right.
And with ChatGPT, it's guide it some more. And the follow up to what I was saying before. Once you then embrace it, the other mistake I see people make is they use it verbatim. They've gotten lazy. And so they take like, here, AI, write me a script, write me a caption, write me an email, write me a text. And now it's becoming obvious.
Don't just copy paste what ChatGPT says. Never do this.
Not. Yeah,
your very rare occasion should you ever do. You should just say never.
I agree.
Yeah.
I would say never, because all you're doing is setting AI up to replace you. The one thing AI will never replace, and here's the way I would describe myself, is that, and real estate people will understand this, I want to become like a Zillow in a niche market. And you know why I know I can beat Zillow? Because Zillow's too broad.
Yeah.
Zillow will never know the lake or any geographic area like someone who lives in it. And AI, although it will be able to create content about the shootout and about the thing that happened, the Aquapalooza, AI will never physically be there cheersing with people, high-fiving with people. And so that's how I know AI won't replace me. But for most of you who over-rely on AI, it will replace you. You have to have some authenticity. The one thing AI will never ever be is it will never be a human.
It will never be you.
No.
Yeah.
Never.
And that's a great point. In fact, that's a good rounding out this whole conversation, because the human element, the human story, you and the unique things that compose you and what you bring, those are not replaceable by an AI, because they cannot possibly be, because like you're saying, it isn't you.
Correct.
And so don't set AI up. Don't just be an AI spouter where you just use it that way.
But you become robotic. Don't become robotic. Yeah.
Instead, the value that you bring to your career and your family and whatever, social media, all the spaces that you are, right? The non-digital spaces in particular, those things are I would say infinitely more significant than digital outputs that AI can give. The value that I've seen is that it makes me more efficient at getting the stuff done that I need to get done, so that I can do more of what I'm called to do, right? I think there is a positive outlook on it. Now, it could destroy us all. I don't know. It's anything's possible, right?
I mean, I will tell you from my perspective is it's given me more life back.
Sure.
I'm a workaholic. I work a lot, and I find myself I'm not in a rush to sit down to figure something out, because I know I can just ask ChatGPT, it will guide me, and then I know something that might have taken hours or days now will take me minutes.
Yeah, and while there's a kind of satisfaction to thinking and working out a problem, I don't think that we should outsource all our problem solving either. No. But there are certain things where listen, getting through this thing is just an obstacle. I got to get this done. Yeah. I had a fire pit project that I've been working on for 6-8 months. I don't even know now. So I started talking to ChatGPT about different elements. How many yards of gravel am I going to need? How much rock am I going to need? All this stuff. And so it accelerated the figuring on that stuff, so that I'm making the fire pit though, and I'm sitting around the fire with my family enjoying toasted marshmallows. And it got me there faster, actually, because it helped me figure out this stuff that I had to sit down with a pen and paper and jot whatever. And then actually I could go back to it whenever I had how much yards of gravel am I going to need? Yeah. And when it was finally time to buy the gravel, I was like, how much yards of gravel did I say we were going to need for that? And he was like, you're going to need 6 yards. Oh, that's right. Okay. And to your point, it moved maybe more efficient
100%.
To the real experiences that I actually wanted to get to.
Yeah.
And that's value.
My output is, I don't even know how many X than what it is if I was just doing it as a human. My output is crazy good now, and way more efficient. I can put out more, or I can put it out quicker, which I spend less time doing it. That's it.
Yeah,
which means I can be more engaged with my kid. Be more. I can help work on my handicap. I can read a book. Whatever the hell it is I want to do.
There you go. Read a book.
I probably should.
You should read a book. I should read a book.
You know what my first thought was? I'm going to go to ChatGPT and ask me to summarize the book.
Don't do that. Read the book. Ask ChatGPT what books you should read.
Yeah,
Tell it about what
That's
you
a
do,
good
and then be
one.
like, give me a book
Yeah,
that'll actually
that's a good
stretch
one.
me. That'll be a good
I need to write a book too.
Okay.
And ChatGPT can help you do that too.
Okay, yeah, that's true. That's true. Good. Where should people find Pfitzer Media if they're looking for just to connect with you, just to learn more from what you're doing, and or also to use some of the solutions that you're offering? Where should they go?
You'll never guess.
Social
Go
media,
find me.
Facebook.
Yeah, honestly, I still love to just engage via the telephone. Feel free, you can text me. But yeah, social media is the most obvious place. You can follow me as an individual, which is Jeff Pfitzer, which used to be more authentic. I'm not really as much anymore because I've niched, I've shifted. I'm all in on Lake of the Ozarks lifestyle. So any of the platforms where you like to scroll, you doom scroll, go doom scroll some of our content. We will entertain you. Lake of the Ozarks lifestyle, and then or Jeff Pfitzer, or should I give him my number? Can I give my number?
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, my number is 573-480-8040.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So yeah, text Jeff at all hours of the day
That's
or night.
fine. I'll respond when I wake up.
That's
You know,
right.
believe me, I got this thing on silent.
That's right, man. Sleep mode,
Yeah,
personal
right.
mode. I
That's
like
right.
personal mode on my
That's
phone.
right.
It's pretty
Yeah.
handy. Okay, good. I wanted to send folks your way if they were interested, or even just interested in just learning more about how to do
Happy to.
this stuff well. Because,
Yes.
like we're saying, it's a tool, and again, it's a game, and playing by the rules of that game helps you to keep moving and be more successful.
The last thing I will say to that too is, your audience as a business owner, it's pretty much a guarantee that I can tell you they're on.
Mhm.
And so it is a vehicle. Should it be your own vehicle? Probably not. But it's a vehicle that I guarantee you that's where your audience is. So if you are in the business of wanting to stay top of mind with your consumer, you should probably implement and execute a social strategy at some point. Either do it yourself, hire a kid that you want to manage, or hire a company like myself. That's
Right.
what you got to figure out.
Right. Cool. Thanks, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate you coming on the show.
Always fun, man.
Thanks for the coffee too. Hey, let's give a shout out. Right
Dude,
here.
Firefly, man.
Firefly.
Best coffee at the Lake of the Ozarks, which is the provider of the coffee to most of the establishments at the Lake of the
Oh,
Ozarks.
we have a drawer full of the little K-cups from Firefly.
If you haven't been over there, but I think a lot of people don't realize they actually serve coffee there. So you can get that. It's
It's not a paid promo. We're just
it's
yeah.
like crack.
Yeah, that's good.
If I knew what that was like. This, by the way, and I'm not a Frappuccino guy, I'm going to say that. In fact, I despise it because of the amount of calories in it and the sugars. This tastes as good. You just had it for the first time.
Oh yeah,
It's amazing.
I've been regulating
But
myself. throughout
but
the show, but it's
very low calorie compared to a Frappuccino. And
Nice.
that's why I get them, because they're
nice.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for the coffee, anyways.
welcome.
This was a weird outro.
You're welcome.
So, shout out to Firefly.
Good
Shout
for
out
Firefly,
to
yeah.
shout out to Pfitzer Media, and that has been our take on the lake. Thanks y'all for listening. Stay anchored, stay curious, and we'll see you soon.